In the eyes of scientists, the moon has always been a well-behaved monster. It is a monster because, according to known astronomical knowledge, no other satellite has such a disproportionately large size compared to its planet as the moon does, nor does any other satellite, except artificial ones, have such a perfectly circular orbit. It is well behaved because many of its properties are curiously coincidental, as if it were deliberately and precisely designed. For example, the distance between the Earth and the Sun is 395 times that between the Earth and the Moon. And the Sun's diameter also happens to be 395 times that of the Moon. Because of this, from Earth, the Moon and the Sun appear to be the same size in the sky, allowing for the spectacular phenomenon of a total solar eclipse. The Moon also just happens to have a tilted angle when positioned between the Sun and the Earth, allowing it to reflect sunlight onto the Earth at night, illuminating our night skies. Additionally, the Moon rotates at a speed of 16.56 kilometers per hour, while also orbiting the Earth. Its rotation period is exactly the same as its orbital period, which is why the same side of the Moon always faces the Earth. These well-behaved characteristics cannot be explained by science, prompting scientists to send astronauts to the Moon in hopes of lifting its mysterious veil. But, unexpectedly, the astronauts uncovered even more astonishing mysteries. Mystery 1. The Moon's near side and far side are vastly different. Astronomers used to assume that the far side of the Moon would look similar to the near side, plenty of craters and seas of lava. However, photos sent back from spacecraft showed a dramatically different landscape. The far side is rugged, full of craters and mountains, with very few lava seas. Scientists cannot explain why the two sides of the Moon are so different. According to their understanding of celestial bodies, the Moon should have experienced equal impacts on all sides over time. So why this stark difference? Even more shocking is that thousands of years ago, the Mayans, who never saw the far side of the Moon, carved its appearance into the doors of their moon temples. Did the Mayans once travel to space and see the Moon's far side? Mystery 2. The Moon is a hollow metal sphere. Seismologists study Earth's interior using seismic waves. Similarly, scientists studied the Moon's interior through moonquakes. Since 1969, from Apollo 11 to Apollo 17, the U.S. conducted 8 scientific missions to the Moon. Astronauts installed highly sensitive seismometers to transmit moonquake data back to Earth. One was placed in the Sea of Tranquility by Apollo 11, and another in the Ocean of Storms by Apollo 12, a vast gray plain on the Moon's western hemisphere, spanning 2,500 kilometers and covering about 4 million square km. It's the only lunar sea called an ocean. These sensitive seismometers could even detect the footsteps of astronauts walking on the Moon. At 4:15 a.m. on November 20th, 1969, Apollo 12 astronauts crashed the lunar module's ascent stage onto the Moon's surface, triggering a moonquake. The Moon rang for over 55 minutes. The shaking started small, gradually intensified over 8 minutes, then slowly faded away, lasting nearly an hour with a long, echoing aftershock. This stunned scientists. Why did it shake for so long? Maurice Ewink, head of the Seismic Research Institute, vividly described it on a news broadcast. It's like striking a church bell. The seismic waves spread only across the Moon's surface and not inward, like what would happen on a completely hollow metal sphere. Determined to verify this, Apollo 13 astronauts remotely crashed a third-stage rocket booster onto the Moon, 87 miles from Apollo 12's seismometer. Guess how long this quake lasted? Over 3 hours and 20 minutes, with depths reaching 22 to 25 miles. If the Moon were solid like Earth, the quake should have lasted just a minute or so. NASA's seismologists were dumbfounded. They had no scientific explanation unless the Moon is not solid. Still skeptical, they tried again. Apollo 14's S-4B stage also struck the Moon, causing a 3-hour quake with depths of 35 to 40 kilometers. Later, Apollo 15 triggered another quake, whose waves reached 1,100 kilometers away. Even a seismometer placed far off in the Fra Mauro Highlands picked up the shock. By comparison, a similar seismic event on Earth would travel only about 100 kilometers. According to NASA's Apollo 16 and the Moon Surface Report, moonquake studies revealed a 40-mile thick hard layer beneath the lunar crust. Dr. Werner von Braun noted that vibrations at this depth travel at 6 miles per second, a speed only metal or metallic rock can conduct. Even conservative scientists admitted this implied that hollow areas exist inside the moon. Although this didn't prove the moon is entirely hollow, it strongly indicated internal cavities. But scientists couldn't finalize the conclusion because they only measured transverse waves, not longitudinal ones. The seismometers were placed too closely together, and there was no way to place them on the moon's far side, which always faces away from Earth, nor to receive signals from there. Let's talk about longitudinal waves. If the moon were hollow, longitudinal waves wouldn't pass through its center. Transverse waves would just bounce around the crust. Scientists hoped for a major meteorite impact to provide natural seismic data for comparison. And fate delivered. On May 13, 1972, a large meteor struck the moon with the force of 200 tons of TNT. Scientists dubbed it Colossus. The impact should have caused repeated vibrations if the moon were solid. But once again, science was stunned. Colossus quake vanished after entering the moon's interior. This could only mean that the longitudinal waves were absorbed by a vast empty space, the moon's hollow interior. Mystery 3. The Age of the Moon Rocks. Regarding the moon's origin, scientists once proposed 3 theories. The first one, capture theory. The moon was a wandering object in space that Earth's gravity captured. The second, co-formation theory. The Earth and moon formed together from the same dust cloud. The third one, fission theory. The moon split off from a rapidly spinning Earth. Let's analyze them. First, the capture theory seems extremely unlikely. The moon is 27% the size of Earth. Capturing such a large object into a perfectly circular orbit requires precise angles, nearly impossible. Any miscalculation would have resulted in the moon being captured by another planet or thrown off into space. That leaves the co-formation and fission theories. But these are challenged by the strange ages of moon rocks. The oldest rocks found on Earth are 3.5 billion years old, discovered in Africa's Rift Valley. When Neil Armstrong casually picked up a rock from the Sea of Tranquility, he had no idea it would turn out to be over 3.6 billion years old. Later missions brought back rocks aged 4.3 to 4.5 billion years. Apollo 11's lunar soil samples are believed to be 4.6 billion years old. As old as the solar system itself, these ancient rocks shouldn't be lying on the moon's surface. But the surprises didn't stop there. Using potassium-argon dating, some rocks were found to be 7 billion years old. Even more shocking, Apollo 12 brought back 2 rocks over 20 billion years old. 4 times the Earth's age. Scientists believe these are the oldest objects ever discovered in our universe, whose estimated upper age limit is also about 20 billion years. This means the moon is not only older than the Earth and Sun, it may be as old as the universe itself. Even with conservative estimates, the moon is at least 5 to 10 billion years old. Such an age means it could not have originated within the solar system, nor could it have split from Earth.
Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Share it, because some stories are meant to be discovered together. And stay curious. I'll see you in the next chapter.